Where to stay when you're planning a trip to Ecuador. Welcome to Vacation Mavens, the podcast that brings you travel inspiration and practical tips from two moms who know how to plan the perfect trip.
I'm Tamara from Your Time to Fly.
And I'm Kim from Stuffed Suitcase. With over 40 years of travel experience between us, we're here to share our favorite destinations from road trips to cruising, theme parks, and European adventures.
Whether you're planning a family vacation or a mom getaway, we have the tips and tricks to make memories that will last a lifetime.
Tamara, we have had quite a few episodes recently about the Galapagos and then Ecuador travel tips, a little bit high-level itinerary planning, separate sections. But I know a big part of what made you enjoy your trip was places you stayed. So I know part of that was a big aspect for your 15 days. I think you said you were in Ecuador.
17,
Oh,
which
17.
I guess is why
Wow.
we're breaking
Okay.
it into
so
three
it's had a
episodes.
few different episodes. Go back, everyone listen if you want to hear about her Galapagos cruise. We covered that pretty much in detail. That was 5 nights. But now we're going to talk about the different hotels. So how do you want to kick us off? Do you want to talk about, like, you landed in Quito?
Yeah, I'll just go through I'll talk about my overall itinerary, and then I can talk about each of the places that I stayed in a little bit more detail. As Kim mentioned, I came into Quito, but then I spent 5 nights in the Galapagos, and then I flew back to Guayaquil, and I stayed at La Hacienda Danesa for actually only 1 night, which, I mean, normally you would stay much longer, but it was just for me to get a sample of it. And then I went up to Cuenca for 2 nights, and then I did 1 night near Cotopaxi National Park, 1 night in Quito, and then I went out to the Mashpi Lodge in the cloud forest for 2 nights. And then I came back to Quito for a night. And then I went up to Hacienda La Zuleta for 2 nights. And then I came back to Quito and flew out the next morning. So there's a lot of logistics in there that we don't need to cover.
And also people would probably not do the same thing necessarily.
No. Yeah. It was all about me experiencing as much of the country as possible. And
so
if
that
you are
plan
kind of
vacations.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If you're wondering what should I do, what works, call me.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I can help you figure that out to do something that makes like a lot more sense logistically and also just from a time perspective. But I would say I want to cover La Danesa and I want to cover the Mashpi Cloud Forest, Mashpi Lodge, and then La Zuleta. And what I really loved, La Danesa is a really nice pairing with the Galapagos. So if you're very busy in the Galapagos, and then especially if you had a round trip international flight in and out of Guayaquil, like a perfect pairing would be to do Hacienda La Danesa. So this is about an hour and a half from Guayaquil. It is on, I don't know how many acres or hectares within, basically it's like a teak plantation. There's a cacao plantation there. They have a typical farm, so they have a dairy. So it's a really large property.
Okay.
And you are doing activities like on that property, or you can do excursions. But it's one of the types of properties that they include certain things as part of your stay. So you're going and it's like full board. You're staying on property. You're eating your meals there. Okay. You're doing activities there.
Is this the one that was the rough road to get out to?
No,
okay,
it was
making sure.
And the style of this one is just stunning. It is so beautiful. It's family owned for like multiple generations, and the family still has a home there, but then they've built only 7 other accommodations. What I stayed at was, I think, their garden cottage. And so it was more of a standalone. So these buildings are scattered throughout one area. And then they have this lodge that if you are into interior design, you will just, I think, love this lodge area so much. Like, beautiful bar, beautiful restaurant, really nice like loungy area, a little library area, back patio. Just everything about this place I just completely fell in love with. Just such a beautiful.
Did they arrange the transfer for you then? Is it part of your inclusion as they pick you up at the airport, or do you book that separately?
It was arranged separately for me.
Okay.
I'm sure that they could arrange it for
you,
I'm
sure. Yeah. But it's not included with it's not like they do.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry, I just was wondering since it's out there. It sounds like you're really stuck there, like not stuck there, but it sounds like you're really immersed there. It's definitely the resort experience. Nice. Maybe we should talk about some of the excursions you did from there and then how that worked and how many people were on it. And then also the food, of course, because I know that's a big thing for you.
Yeah. So everything that I did, as I said, there are only 7 rooms, and it depends on who's there, how many people are there, if you're going to be with others or if it's more of a private thing. And so I did activities on site. And so the first thing I did was a bike ride, and there was just one other guy joined me. So it was with a local guide. The thing that I'll mention is that a lot of the local guides that they are using only speak Spanish or speak very little English. Okay. He was pointing out different birds. We saw a sloth up in the tree. Like that I could make out, you know. But there were other things where it was just a little bit difficult. But it's an immersive experience.
Yeah.
Give you a chance to actually use your Spanish, which
Lizzie would love that.
You know, a lot of places don't do that. Yeah. So we biked through the property. One of the other things that you can do there that I didn't just because it was a little chilly that day is river tubing. So there's like a river that runs through the property. So you can do that.
Like mellow or?
Mellow.
Yeah, good. Nice. Okay.
The other thing that I did was chocolate making experience. So if you have more time, what you can do is you can go out to the cacao plantation and really see how it's harvested, what it looks like, and a bit more about that whole experience. But I think also because I did a chocolate making workshop when I was in Peru, it was fine just to do the chocolate making. Yeah. And so what I did first was went into this little kitchen that they have, and there was someone to interpret for me there. And they make all these different products. So they have dulce de leche and like different marmalades and jams and like a Nutella type of thing. And then they had like different chocolates. So I could taste different chocolate. I could taste the different kind of spreads that they had. And then after that, then we talked about the whole chocolate making process, and I made my own chocolate bar. So it's a lot of fun. I think that would be fun with families. It would be fun as a couple, like a lot. And then you also are given like a full bar of chocolate in your room. I came back, we still have a stack of chocolate bars in my closet.
That's crazy.
So that was a lot of fun. So those are, and one of the other things you can do is milking of the cows. So I think, again, for someone that's like interested in that farm experience that never has seen that before. Of course, I didn't do that because I think it was at like 5 a.m., maybe 6 a.m.
Yeah.
But they do an afternoon one as well, but I had to leave before that.
Okay.
So those are some of the included things, but then they also have things that you can pay extra for. So they have a whole stable so you can do horseback riding. They do cooking classes. There's like a whole bunch of other types of experiences, as well as excursions that they can arrange.
That's awesome.
So
is it near any famous, would you take a day trip excursion somewhere? Is it near?
You could take a day trip to like some Incan ruins, do some more like active things.
Yeah.
So,
it'd be cool to do like the Incan ruins. That's what I was picturing in my head. Didn't know how to word it. That's cool. So from there, anything else about that property you wanted to mention before we move on to the next?
Just how much I loved it.
Yeah.
No, the other thing, if you are with a family, you need to get 2 rooms, but there is one, I think it was the stable rooms that are 2 rooms in one building. Yeah. So you can have that to yourself.
Okay.
And it was all very safe.
And it sounds nice to know that it's right by it. Like it's convenient with a Galapagos trip. So that's a good one to focus on.
I thought so.
Okay. And then what's the next one? Where are we moving to?
So I wanted to talk about the Mashpi Lodge in the Cloud Forest, which is, it's about 2 hours from Quito.
And so you would fly from Guayaquil, like if you were doing
Quito.
this to Quito. Okay.
Yeah. I think that I actually know quite a few people that have been to this lodge, so I feel like it's more well known within the American traveler community. But there are some things that I learned about it that I just want to share. So basically, if you're planning a trip to Ecuador, you can decide if you want to do something like in the cloud forest, or you can go to the Amazon and do the Amazon rainforest. But getting out to the Amazon is a lot harder. It takes a lot more time. And so you're going to want to spend a little more time when you're there as well.
Right.
And that wasn't my priority this trip, but I really did want to do the cloud forest. I probably should have looked up what the scientific explanation of cloud forest is, but it sounds up in the clouds. So don't expect, like, you're not going to be laying out and getting a suntan. And it is, but there are all these beautiful trees. It's really a very diverse ecosystem.
Biosphere sounds right.
So for bird watchers, huge kind of place for that. But it is a really beautiful place. The tricky part about it is getting out there, which you mentioned, the long bumpy road. So it is a couple hours out of Quito, and the last hour of it is on a dirt road that is very bumpy. So I'm just like I want to be really honest with people and be like, if you have like neck and back problems or you're pregnant, like I wouldn't do it, because like you're really getting jostled around on your ride out there. And you have to come back out, and even doing some of the excursions, you're on a bus that's on part of that trip. So that's something to keep in mind. The other thing, like I said, really good for bird watchers. I saw a number of families there with young kids, but it's a pretty active trip. So you're doing hikes, and some of the hikes were, it's not like a high elevation or a lot of altitude change. It's just, or elevation change. But some of them, I was tired. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Like we were doing a lot of steps or
yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So like little kids, I don't know if they would get maybe how much, if they're really interested in, let's find the frogs and let's look for the birds. And
but how long can you can only entertain that only works for so long. Yeah.
And I saw basically when you get there, they do a briefing and then you're assigned a group. And it seemed like a family unit was one group. But then I was with like just a mix of other people.
Adults, yeah.
So I think that they try to do a good job where if you are a family, they're keeping it oriented.
Yeah, and they probably adjust the activities based on that as well.
And you basically every day you'll talk to your naturalist guide and they'll give you an option of would you want to go do the waterfall hike? Do you want to do the night hike? Do you want to go to the hummingbird garden?
But does your whole group have to agree?
No, but
yeah, that's how it was when I was at the JW Marriott Masai Mara. I was like,
yeah. So it's like if someone else, like if there's someone else going to the other thing that you want to do, they'll be able to work that out. But if there's not enough guides, then you might need to.
Yeah.
And so I did things like the first day we took a hike down to, I think it was called like their life center or something like that. It's kind of like their nature center. And there we saw a lot of birds, but also some mammals. I'm trying to think of the tira was one of them. The Goody was another. So like some cool things, but you're not going to see a ton of wildlife. And in that whole area, because basically this was a project designed to preserve the ecosystem. And the way that they could create that investment that would preserve it is if they had something that was revenue generating.
Yeah.
So that's why the purpose for the hotel.
Yeah.
So it's a big preserve.
Yeah.
And they have different kinds of like wildlife cams set up.
Yeah.
And every night they also do some kind of wildlife briefing where they'll have their naturalist or the biologist come in and talk to you about this particular species or birds or whatever. And they have biologists like on site too, like doing research and doing science. So it's legit like
educational immersion.
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome.
So on these wildlife cams, you can see jaguars, you can see ocelots. But it's like you're not going to see them live because they're out there. And it's like kind of cool.
They'll see you. You might not see them.
When we did the hummingbird garden, one of the guides went to the bathroom that was nearby and he came back and he was like, whoa, there was a jaguar in there last night, or outside of it because it smelled like cat pee. Really, really strong.
Oh, wow.
So like they're around. So that's what we did the first time. And then some of the other excursions I did was they have this thing called the sky bike, which sounds a lot cooler. Maybe a lot cooler than it is. It sounds mean to say, but it is a lot of work. Luckily, I didn't have to so basically picture like a zip line.
Yeah.
But it's a bike that you have to pedal to make it go.
I've seen that on Amazing Race.
Yeah. So if you think about, Kim, you can relate to this. Remember how hard it was to bike that tandem bike, the Surrey?
The Surrey thing we had on the boardwalk. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's really hard. So there was one couple that was doing it. And then because I was by myself, the guide, because only one person can pedal. The person in the back has to do all the pedaling. And it's a heavy unit as it is. Then you add two people's weight.
Yeah.
So my guide was doing the pedaling. So I got off easy where I could just take pictures or whatever.
Oh, nice.
But the other guy who was next to me and the other one, he was not happy. He was like, I can't do this. Like, I can't get back. And so they have a rescue bike where someone can be on the other side, like pedaling to make the cable go a little bit. So that's really hard. So they've built this new thing called, it's more like a gondola. I can't think of what the name of it is now, but it's motor powered. So it's a similar type of thing. And I was supposed to do that one day, but I got a call in the morning to say, oh, it's out of service today. So I didn't get to do that, but we did like a waterfall hike. The waterfall was beautiful. The thing that I also didn't do were the night hikes. Because the night hikes, number one, I don't see as well at night, and I don't want to wear at night when I'm driving, I wear my distance glasses. But if I'm like walking, like there's not really something my distance glasses are too strong for that. So I feel like, I don't know, I don't want to be like tripping over things in the path. But mostly I'm just scared of snakes. And they go and they're like, oh yeah, we're going to go look for spiders and reptiles. And I'm like, I'm okay.
I'd
Like,
be
I'm just
good
going to
now
have
doing
dinner
that.
and go back to my room. I'm all
Yeah.
good. So one guy really wanted to see some kind of like little teeny tiny frog that's like a glass frog. So they're like
Sea frog?
translucent skin. Yeah. And so the guide apparently went up, like climbed a waterfall and found these little frogs and brought them down to show them. So they were thrilled. So that, I think, for some kids
Yeah.
too, that
Yeah.
can be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But I would say 2 to 3 days there max, because I'm
Okay.
not sure. Like beyond that, you're getting into like really longer hikes or you're repeating yourself.
Oh, gotcha. Yep.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, but it was a cool experience. The food was really good. The service was amazing.
That's
Like,
awesome.
so I couldn't believe, like, day one, all the servers in the restaurant like knew my name. They would ask me about the day. They would help point things out. Even there was like this big giant like bullfrog or something like outside the window, and they were like, "Oh, that's I forget what they called him, like Hercules, I think, and he comes here every night." So,
Funny.
really good service. Rooms. I think you may have seen the Instagram video that I put up of like the automatic blinds going up, and then you just have
Oh,
this view of the
yeah.
cloud forest. So it's
Nice.
something that I would definitely recommend, but just with those caveats that
Yeah.
I have offered.
Yep. Yeah. Good to know. Cool. And so where are we going next?
The last one that I really wanted to talk about was Hacienda Zuleta. And that is also about an hour and a half to 2 hours outside of Quito, but in a different direction.
Okay.
And this is in the mountains. So if you're not going to one of Cotopaxi or some of those national parks, it gives you a little bit more of a mountain experience. I did feel the elevation a bit when I was doing some hikes,
Right.
just a little shortness of breath. But it is a very traditional colonial style. It's one of the oldest haciendas in the country. It's still owned by like the original family, and it still looks like a family home, or still in that same style. So every
Okay.
room is different. Every room has like antiques and paintings, and there's like a living room and a library. And if you want something that's just very authentic, very traditional feeling, this is a great place
How
to
is
go.
sound in the like creaky floors, people in the
Um,
hallways listening, hearing them? Because that's the only
there's
thing
just
about
not that
those.
many people, so
Okay,
it's
because I
like
was
a
like in those
small.
historic places, that's the thing I hate is like you hear everyone walking around, you hear it's
So
oh
it's spread out it's a courtyard, and then it's spread out in
oh
wings.
okay.
And then there was a part further down, like my hall, where you could go upstairs and there's some rooms, but
It wasn't an
there
issue.
was only like maybe two other groups there when I was there.
Wow.
So it was not
So are
that many
there
people
like
around at
eight
all.
rooms or something? How?
Don't know how many rooms. I would
Okay.
say it's probably bigger than that,
Okay.
but just not full.
Okay. Okay.
I did hear from a number of people that tourism in Ecuador has been down since COVID.
Okay.
Um, so the nice thing is that places aren't crowded and
Yeah. Yeah.
overpriced and things. But and the neat thing about this, so the family has in their family two past presidents of Ecuador,
Okay.
and someone from the family, every night they have a wine and cheese kind of hour, and someone from the family is there, and she's just telling you stories, and like you can ask questions, and it was fascinating to get to have that type of experience. And she was telling us about some of their local traditions. Also in that area, it's really big for women to do embroidery. So they have like embroidery classes. The day that I arrived was a Sunday, so in the town there's like a market, a handicraft market. So I walked over there and bought a couple of embroidered things, and
Nice.
but it's another place where you can do a lot of activities on site.
Okay. And in that region, what are some of the popular activities? Is it again just hiking the mountains and stuff,
Yeah,
lookouts?
so what I did was hike. I went horseback riding. They have a condor center where they have a biologist that's studying condors, and basically they have a couple of pairs of condors that are now protected.
Yeah.
There's only 150 condors left in the wild in Ecuador, so
Wow.
it's really an important kind of preservation project. You can also do like I watched the sheep being milked, but I think you can do like milking. They make their own cheese, so you can
Okay.
go and watch the cheese being made as well. They do have like embroidery class and workshop. They have cooking things. So there's a lot
A
of
lot of
different
stuff. Yeah.
activities that you can do.
Awesome.
Yeah,
And
and it's a really large property.
is dinner like communal or individual? And how was the food?
Dinner was, they asked me like, what time do you want to eat dinner? And I had my little space, so it was like little private dining rooms in a
Yeah.
way,
Okay.
because it was like with the family. that was there was in one room, and I was like out in this other area, and they had a little fire going for me, and it was just, it was so nice.
Sounds like a really good place for a couple. Like, definitely.
Yeah. I think it works for everyone.
Yeah. Okay,
the food was amazing. I actually told them in my feedback, I'm like, you should do a cookbook. Like, it was the food. So one of the other things that they do is they give you a tour of like their kitchen gardens and stuff. So you think like they're raising their own, they're making their own milk. They have dairy, creamery, dairy. Yep. Thank you. There's the word. But all their vegetables, and they have fruits, and everything started with a wonderful soup. And I mostly got vegetarian dishes when I was there because, number one, I was just full. I was just like, I can't have meat.
Yeah.
But they had amazing like quinoa cakes and this other kind of all amazing salads, beautiful like a little souffle thing, homemade desserts, and the food was really exceptional. But local, you know, not like fancy,
like French chef,
high end, you know, like I have to get dressed for dinner, but just like really fresh and local.
That's my cup of tea. That's like exactly what I would have wanted.
Yeah, you would have loved the meals that I had. Like,
I bet.
Really such freshness. And actually on my way back to Quito, one of the things that they had a amazing Ecuador who I worked with to plan this trip. One of the things that they had set up for me was a cooking class in a woman's home. With all again, we went into her garden and picked some, she's like, you're going to need some of this herb and that herb. And then we had cooked and did a cooking class there. So yes, it was really a lovely experience. So those are 3 places that I really wanted to highlight. I will say one of the places that I stayed in Quito when I was there twice was Casa Gangatena. I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce it, but it's a beautiful historic property right across from like the main square. It's a Relais Chateau property. It's actually owned by the same people that own Mashpi Lodge, and they also own a place in the Galapagos, I think Finch Bay. And so it was just gorgeous. And they have like a rooftop terrace overlooking the plaza, and they have a nice restaurant. But I was actually, both times I was there,
You went out to dinner?
No, I didn't have dinner.
Oh, wow.
I was actually like just full and tired, and I just couldn't. And their restaurant there, I think, is a little more high end. And I just actually one night I actually ordered room service because I was like, you know what? I'm so tired. I just want a little bite. No, and then I want to go to bed.
Yeah.
And the other time I just skipped dinner.
Oh,
yeah.
Those all sound amazing. It sounds
I would definitely recommend it for a stay in Quito.
Yeah, good. And that makes sense if you're flying in and out or whatever. So that's great. Quickly, before we sign off, I'm just curious. I don't know if we ever covered, is there a best time that you would advise people to go to Ecuador? Like
that's the amazing thing, is because it's by the equator, it's really like a year-round destination. So they say they have 2 seasons. They have dry season and rainy season.
Yeah.
I was there in technically the dry season, and it rained some.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, it would be rainier. Like if you're looking to do the Galapagos, I would look at that a little more closely, because if you're going in December, which might be like prime rainy season, like maybe that, not as much. But I don't know if the Galapagos is the same, it's the same weather as Ecuador mainland or not. But yeah, I really think it can be year round.
Okay, great. Yeah. Any final tips to share before we sign off?
No, when it comes to weather, just you mentioned that, and I will say, yes, I was hot in the Galapagos and like one other place, but then when I was in the mountains, I mentioned a fire. There were 2 places where I had a fire in my room. So even though it's the elevation. Equator, it's not necessarily like it's so hot there. So. It's a lovely country. It is really, the people are lovely. The scenery really surprised me. Like I didn't know it was so mountainous and so beautiful, so green. I should have thought about green, of course. But I would encourage you to go, and I'd be happy to talk to you about planning a trip. And
that's awesome. Thank you so much. And thank you to all of you for tuning in to listen to us. We love having you. We'll be back again next week.
Thanks. If you like this episode, be sure to subscribe and rate and review on your favorite podcast app, as that helps other people discover us. And if you want to see more, follow me, Tamara, at Your Time to Fly on Instagram and Facebook and all the others.
And you can follow me, Kim, at Stuff Suitcase on Instagram, Facebook, and of course my blog.